Dear students, this particular lecture is for BA second semester course. In this lecture, I will take up one of the important short stories, that is Two Gentlemen of Verona, written by A.G. Cronin. A.G. Cronin, he was a medical practitioner turned novelist. He has borrowed the title of this story from one of the early plays of Shakespeare. This particular story is about two young brothers. One is 13 years old and another is 12 years old, and their encounter with the author in the city of Verona. As the title suggests, Two Gentlemen of Verona. So, what had influenced author to call these two boys and these two young boys as gentlemen? Surely, they must have shown a great impression, or they must have given an ineffaceable impression in the eyes of author to call them as a gentleman of Verona. Who were they? What was their profession? We will learn in this story. Let's begin the story. As we drove through the foothills of the Alps, two small boys stopped us on the outskirts of Verona. Author narrates that once they were driving through the foothills of Alps. There, they were stopped by two young boys, and they were selling strawberries in their basket. And it was bright scarlet berries that looks delicious. But don't buy, warned Luigi, our cautious driver. Why he warns? Because he gives his disapproval of their shabby appearance. Both the boys were shabby in appearance. One boy had a worn jersey and cut-off khaki pants. The other a shortened army tunic gathered in loose folds about his skinny frame. It was their appearance that became the cause of disapproval by Luigi. He says that don't buy, you will get fruit much better in city of Verona. So the here question arises. Their strawberries were delicious, but they were looking dirty. Their appearance was not acceptable. So in this business world, in this capitalist world, what more is required? Your personality, your appearance. But here, why these two boys not having proper dress? There was a reason, and there is a reason behind that. We will know later on. So yet gazing at two little figures with their brown skins, tangled hair and dark earnest eyes, we felt ourselves strangely attracted. Though this Luigi, the driver, negates, he gives his disapproval, but author, along with his friend, they were strangely attracted by these two boys. There was a dark earnest eyes, there was a dark appealing eyes. That's why author got attracted. My companion spoke to the boys, discovered that they were brothers, and his friend, author's friend, comes out, get off from car, and he inquires about the boys, and he comes to know that they are brothers. Nicola, the elder, was 13, and Jacob, who barely come up to the door handle of the car, was nearly 12. We bought their biggest basket, then set off towards town. An author says that because of their strange attraction, They bought their basket and they drove towards town. So this was the first encounter. And now he narrates some points about the city of Verona, its attraction, why this city is quite famous. So author says that Verona is a lovely city, rich in history, with quite medieval streets and splendid buildings of an exquisite pale honey color. Romeo and Juliet are reputed to have lived there. Bombed in the recent war, it has lost its bridges but not its gaiety or charm. This was the historical context of this particular city, and it is said that Romeo and Juliet lived in this city, they were living in this city. The next morning, when author along with his friend they were in city, so next morning they again encounter with the boys. Next morning, coming out of our hotel, we drew up short. They are bent over shoeshine boxes beside the fountain in the public square, doing a brisk business, were our two young friends of the previous afternoon. And there he finds that, author finds that at the square, two young boys, they were running a business of shoe shining. It was quite surprising for the author because he had thought that they were selling only strawberries, but no, they were doing so many works, so many menial jobs that they can do. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened, we went over. They greeted us with friendly faces. I thought you picked fruit for a living, I said. And the reply is that we do many things. As author asked that, I had thought that you just sell fruits, strawberries, but the boy's reply, the elder one he replies, Nicola replies, he answers seriously that we do many things. He gleaned at our hopefully. He glanced at us hopefully. Often we show visitors to the town, to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. And he says that not only this shoe shining, I also work as a guide, and we take travelers to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. All right, I smiled, you take us along. As we made the rounds, my interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. They were childish enough and in many ways quite artless. Again, a kind of impression, an indelible impression they have given, they shown to the author, and he says that they were childish enough and in many ways quite artless, but still something was there that was giving an impression that was a kind of engaging attraction for them. Yet in both these boyish faces there was a seriousness which one respected, an air or purpose for beyond their years, and it seemed that there was a purpose, there was a purpose, or there was some serious business, and they were serious in their business, and this seriousness was beyond their years, beyond their age. In such a small age, they were quite serious and they were doing so many jobs, so many works. What was the reason behind that? Why they were doing that? We will learn later. In the week which followed, we saw them frequently, for they proved extremely useful to us, and consequently they proved useful for them. For example, if we wanted a packet of American cigarettes or seats for the opera or the name of a restaurant that could provide good reveille, Nicola and Jacobo could be relied upon to satisfy our needs with their usual cheerful competence. So what struck one most was their unremitting willingness to work. So what struck and what impression one was getting from them was their unremitting willingness, their willingness to work, their willingness to work every time, their willingness to work or engage themselves in work and earn money. During these summer days, under the hot sun and in the long evening when the air blew chill from the mountains, so in summer days, in winter, in cold, in every season, they were working, and they were working with full attention, with full dedication, and they were serious in their work. It was not a kind of enjoyment, they were serious. So definitely some purpose were there. Okay. So one night we came upon them in the windy and deserted square, resting on the stone pavement beneath the pale hour lights. Nicola sat upright, his face drawn by fatigue. A bundle of unsold newspapers lay at his feet while Jacob, his head pillowed upon his brother's shoulder, was asleep. It was nearly midnight. So the third encounter, or the third strange encounter, was that meanwhile, they were quite instrumental in bringing in bringing the tickets for the opera seats and American cigarettes. But the this situation that gave much impression, that gave much attention to the author, is that he said that one night they were sleeping, and it was a cold, windy night and they were sleeping. The small one, Jacopo, he was sleeping, and Nicola was not sleeping. He was awake with a bundle of unsold newspaper. So it was quite surprising for the author, because in this cold, windy night, still uh, why they are still there with newspaper. So he asked, "Why are you out so late, Nicola?" So he had started sharply as I spoke, but now he gave me his quiet, independent glance. "Waiting for the last bus for Udua. We shall sell all our papers when it comes in." So Nicola replies that we are waiting for the last bus, and we are here to sell our last unsold bundle of newspapers. Thereupon author says, "Must you keep it so hard? You both look rather tired." "We are not complaining, sir." And their reply, author says that you are looking tired and you are doing very hard work. You are indulging yourself in hard works, in hard circumstances. Why you are doing that? He says that we are not complaining, sir. That means they love it and it was their necessity. Some necessity was there, some serious purpose was there. So that's why they were facing all the hurdles, all the predicaments in their life, and they were not complaining. His tone, while perfectly polite, discouraged further inquiry. I said, "Nicola, the way you and Jacob work, you must earn quite a bit. You spend nothing on clothes. You eat little enough. When I see you having a meal, it's usually black bread and figs. Tell me, what do you do with your money?" So the author inquisitively asked, "As I see, uh, as I observe that you both are not spending enough money or sufficient money, or quite a mm, you must earn quite a bit. That means you are earning quite a bit handsome money, but you are not spending that money on your clothes, on your foodings, and something other necessary items. What will you do of that money? Why you are saving that money?" And author guessed that uh, you must be saving up to immigrate to America, I suggested. And he suggests that you must be saving all the money to migrate America. He looked at me sideways, spoke with an effort. We should greatly like to go to the estates, but here at present we have other plans. But Nicola says that yes, willingly we should like to go there, but here we have another plan. What was their plan? What was their purpose? We have another plan to save this money. What plans? He smiled uncomfortably with that remote air which never failed to baffle me. Just plans, sir, he answered in a low voice. When he says just plans, as Nicola does not reveal his plan. Well, I said, we are leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before I go? And their author informed that, well, don't tell me your plan. I just here come to tell you that uh, I am leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before I go? So Nicola shook his head, but suddenly Jacob says, sir, every Sunday we make a visit to the country to Poleta, 30 kilometers from here. Usually we hire bicycles, but tomorrow, since you are so kind, you might send us in your car. Author, I had already told Yugi he might have the Sunday off. So thereupon, it was their request. It was the obviously it was the only request of Jacob. So he couldn't reject, or he couldn't uh, deny that request. Author couldn't deny that request, though he has given leave to Lugi, his driver. But I answered, I will drive you out myself. But he decided that I will take the boys there and I will drive the car. So there was a pause. Nicola was glaring at his young brother in vexation. We could not think of troubling you, sir. It won't be any trouble. But Nicola says that I don't want to give you trouble. But thereupon author says that no, it won't be any trouble. So again, the the elder brother says that I don't want to give trouble. I want to do, and whatever we are doing, we are happy with that. We are not complaining, and it is a kind of, we can say that, self-respect. It is a kind of not taking anybody's affection, or not taking anybody's emotional affection or emotional help. So they were quite happy with that. So that's why he says that we could not think of troubling you, sir. It won't be any trouble. So again, this dialogue impresses author. It gives a great impression upon author that being a boy, and every boy willingly will accept that, okay, if you are dropping us there, we will go. But Nicola says that we could not think of troubling you, sir. So consequently, the following afternoon, we drove to the tiny picturesque village set high upon the hillside among sheltering chestnut grove, with a few pines on the upper slopes and a deep blue lake beneath. I imagined that our destination would be some humble dwelling. While driving, he was thinking that our destination would be some humble dwelling filled with sceneries, but it was not like that. It was we drove to the tiny picturesque village set high upon the hillside and sheltering chestnut groves. But directly by Jacob's shrill treble, we drew up at a large red-roofed villa surrounded by a high stone wall. So we stopped at a large red-roofed villa, and this villa surrounded by a high stone wall. I could scarcely believe my eyes, and before I could recover breath, my two passengers had jumped nimbly from the car. And before I could take breath that where I am, where I came, uh, but meanwhile the two passengers had jumped nimbly from the car, and he was alone. While going to that place, Nicola says that, Sir, you can wait here, perhaps only an hour. Maybe you would like to go to the cafe in the village for a drink. They disappeared behind the corner of the wall, and after saying this, or while saying this, they disappeared. So author waits few minutes, but he followed. He wants to know where they are going. I found a grilled side entrance and determinedly rang the bell. Rang the bell. So there he follows and he found that there was a building, and he rang the bell. A pleasant looking woman with a ruddy complexion and steel rimmed spectacles appeared. I blinked as I saw that she was dressed in the white uniform of a trained nurse. So there appears a woman, and she was nurse, and that building was a kind of hospital. In that building, he saw that nurse takes him to a well-equipped ward, and there he saw, their author saw that there was a girl around 20 years old, and both the boys were sitting beside her, and they were talking, they were chatting. So thereupon nurse asked, "Don't you want to go there?" He says that, "No, I don't want to disturb the family reunion." And he asks to nurse, "Please tell me more about these boys, who they are and why, and who this girl is." So thereupon nurse informs him that this girl is sister of the boys, and she is suffering with tuberculosis, and we are taking treatment, we are doing treatment here. And what more, she says that she was eager to do so. And now the very touchy, heart touching story she narrates about the condition of boys, how they were and how they are now. She was eager to do so. They were, she explained, quite alone in the world except for a sister Lucia. Their father, a widower, a well-known singer at large scale, had been killed in the early part of the war. Shortly afterward, a bomb had destroyed their house and thrown the three children into the street. And she informed that his father was a singer, and they were living in a cultured family. They were living in a good family, but it is because of the war they are on the road. The war killed his father, as well as it destroyed the house. Compelled to live on roads, they were on roads. So they had always known a comfortable and cultured life. Lucia had herself been training as a singer, and they had suffered horribly from near starvation and exposure to the cold Veronese winter. For months they had barely kept themselves alive in a sort of shelter they built with their own hands amidst the rubble. And she further informed that for months they made a shelter and they survived there, they lived there. Then the German elite guard established headquarters in Verona, and for 3 dreadful years ruled the city with ruthless severity. Then she informed that after that German came, and they were very harsh and cruel ruler, and uh, they ruled the city with ruthless severity. So this made the life of the boys and other Verona dwellers much harsh, much troubled, much tough. So the boy grew to hate those harsh, unwanted masters, and when the resistance movement began secretly to form, they were among the first to join. So thereupon they joined the resistance movement against this German elite guards, and the boys willingly joined because they were the victim of them. They were the victim of war caused by this German army. So their extreme youth and insignificant size, added to an intimate knowledge of the neighboring hills, and they were they worked as a spy. They used to carry the messages to the forces of liberation and more dangerous hills to fret out information on the movement of the German troops. So they were informing, they were giving, carrying messages of the German troops to the Liberation Army. So in this way, they were uh, contributing for in the Verona city. They were contributing for the Verona city against the Germans, against the colonizers, or against those who were treating them badly. So the good nurse broke off her eyes moist. Then, with even deeper feeling, she went on. And she further narrates that I need not tell you how fine they were, these infants, how they went in the darkness. And she says that these infants were quite fine, but now they are in darkness. They were living a good life, they were enjoying a good life, but now they are in the darkness because of the war. With letters in their shoes. Okay. She she paused, took a quick breath. Did they give up? I do not have to answer the question. And she replies. She informed that, and suddenly they find that the boys find that uh, their sister, she was suffering from tuberculosis of the spine, contracted during the miseries of the war. And she paused, took a quick breath. Did they give up? I do not have to answer that question. They brought her here, persuaded us to take her into the hospital. In the 12 months she has been our patient, she has made good progress. There she says that they come to know that their sister is suffering with tuberculosis, but they don't give up. If any other boys would be there, they definitely must have given up. But they took their sister in this hospital and they persuaded that start treatment, we will supply money by any means. So here they are doing lots of menial works, lots of menial jobs. So the reason behind their job is that they are saving money for the treatment of their uh, sister Lucia, who was suffering with tuberculosis. Thereupon, uh, and after listening these, the author's eyes filled with tears. Yes, I agreed they could do it, that they could not do it better. And he says that, yes, I agreed that in this Verona city in the war period, there were less jobs and economy is very poor, but they are doing very hard to earn money and they can't go beyond that hardness. That means they are doing their extent, they are doing their maximum, they are expressing, they are doing their 100%. So I waited outside until the boys rejoined. We don't talk. Why? And he says that, and ultimately author remarks that war with its attendant horrors had not broken their spirit, and if an untimely maturity had been forced upon them, at least they had accepted it with dignity and courage. So untimely maturity forced upon them, and they have accepted with dignity and courage. They were not crushed by this untimely maturity or untimely horror or untimely the effect of war, but they accepted that maturity with horror, with dignity and courage. Their selfless action brought a new nobility of human life. That means their action gives a new nobility of human life. It gives a new approach to human life, that human life can do so many things whatever the circumstances are. So they adds a new meaning to the life, gave promise to greater hope for human society, and they were giving a greater hope for the human society. So in this way, this particular story teaches temperance, courage, strong will. If we have all these qualities, it doesn't matter whether you are young or whether you are mature, you will win all the battles. Thank you.